It's time to get serious.
Hi, I'm Vladimir, and on this channel we're going to be learning how to become professional mangaka in 1 year. I'm going to be acting like a paid professional mangaka that is putting in 40 hours of work every single week, every week, until I actually become a professional mangaka. I already have a webcomic called Vladdy Tales where I am adapting the teachings of an ancient Greek mystic named St. John Chrysostom into a 4-panel chibi-style manga. It's kind of cutesy, definitely not the epic kind of story manga which I'm going to be making, but for the sake of my sanity, I'm going to be including the time I work on that for my 40 hours a week. First step, we're going to be beefing up our drawing skills. And if you're anything like me, you have a huge stack of drawing books which you haven't used. I'm going to be working through all my drawing books, studying the manga art style, how to draw characters, how to draw environments, maybe some pen and ink, action, clothing, you name it. According to the mangaka Hirohiko Araki, for manga, the art is like the bowl which holds the characters, the theme, the setting, and the story. So first things first, we're gonna beef up our art skills. My first victim is this book, Drawing Cute Manga Chibi, a beginner's guide to drawing super cute characters. It's a really good book. It needed some modification with a little bit of duct tape, but other than that, it's a great book. I've been learning a lot. You're gonna see quite a few speed draws from it. If you like the chibi art style, you should definitely check it out. I'm not gonna just stick with chibis though. We're gonna go the whole way. We're gonna learn how to draw everything so we can write stories about anything.
Okay, so as I've been using this book, so it has each of the characters labeled. It says it has a 4 heads high character and a 2 heads high character. So they have the ultra deformed chibis and then the one that looks more like a child. Anyway, I realized though a couple of things. Is that for one, this artist will change it. So if you actually measure using your pencil, which is a really good thing to do, you measure with your pencil like that, that can help you make sure your drawings come out proportionate. Like if you're looking at something, suddenly your pencil becomes your measuring tool. But anyways, I realized that this is 4 heads high. I have 1 head, 2 heads, 3 heads, like 3.5 or even less. So that got really confusing, especially because it seems like it varies depending on what they're trying to depict. Sometimes the quote-unquote 4 heads tall chibi is actually only like 2.5 heads tall. So for myself, because I'm trying to learn how to draw good-looking chibis so that I can reproduce my own characters with consistent proportions. So I have been looking at this book, and I've been practicing, and it's been forcing me to develop my own system of drawing these chibis so that they come out in a way that looks acceptable to me every time. So the way I've been doing it now is, and if you get this book or any drawing book and you work through it and you make yourself be able to reproduce the drawings in the book in a way that's acceptable to you, you're going to internalize the method of drawing those characters. And so the way I've been doing it is I draw my line, top, bottom, and I'm sure if I used a ruler, I could make this even more consistent. Then I find the middle. This is for the 4 heads tall chibi. So that's the middle. Then I divide that middle section again using my pencil as a measurer. Okay. That's where I draw the circle for the head. So that there I get a consistent 4 heads tall chibi. Now, then what I do is then the remaining bit, I divide that in half. And that's what the body is. So this is where I put the character's crotch. So this is the torso and neck and the pelvis area, and then this is going to be left over for the legs. And then I'm going to divide this section in half. Now, on normal human anatomy, the leg is divided in half, and the kneecaps fall right above that spot. So that's what I've been doing there. And then I put the pelvis, or the waistline right here. So I start the pelvis about there. Then we got a little section for the neck underneath that head. Okay. So then I got my head there, and I draw the torso. Kind of pinch it in and then bulge it out, like that. Then for the legs, I draw kind of a cylinder-looking shape there. And my drawings, they're really not coming out exactly like the book does it. Maybe some of you guys are more talented than me, and so you can actually make it come out just like the book does. But I just do my best. I come up with an approximation that looks pleasing to me, because my goal is not to create a sketchbook of exact reproductions of this book, but to internalize the skill of posing these chibi characters, drawing them, overcoming the fear of messing up a drawing by repetition, doing it over and over and over. And so then I'm forcing myself to just overcome that fear, that stage fright, performance anxiety, and then I'm also learning a way to draw these characters that comes natural to me because I've done it so often. So maybe you guys are more talented artists than I am, and you can really reproduce these drawings exactly. If you can, my hat is off to you. I know people who do that, and that is just so cool. This is my end goal, though, is to be able to write my own manga stories that are entertaining and cool looking and have nice, beautiful artwork. I'm just trying to teach myself how to draw these kinds of characters quickly and easily with minimal fear, and that just is pleasing. Okay, so then bow the legs in towards each other. I actually put the feet right at the bottom of that, and then I have it extend out, the foot extend out a little below where the character ends, if that makes sense. So the heel is on the bottom line. Okay, so we got the legs, kneecaps. Now we draw the arm. Now the elbow, on real human anatomy, the elbow lines up with where the belly button is, and so I've just been using that also, that measure, or that rule of measure. Really like the chibi style characters. I want to do more realistic characters as well, and we're going to be learning that in a little bit here. But since the manga I'm already working on, or my little webcomic, is using kind of a chibi style character, and doing what I did Inktober this last fall, I did chibi style characters, and it was just a lot of fun. I've got some story ideas for some kind of fairy tales that could actually use some chibi character pretty extensively. So that's why I decided to focus on the chibis. And then also, I kind of have a lot of problems with performance anxiety and being afraid to start or quitting too soon out of fear of criticism. Well, there's something like a chibi, where it really is a very cartoony sort of character. It just feels a lot less scary to me. A lot less likely to make a mistake that I could be criticized for, which is kind of a really wretched way to live. That's part of the reason where I'm even doing this video series, is because, first of all, it is really good to be humble and not fear the opinions of other people, especially if what you're doing is a good thing. Yeah, it's just a lot less scary doing something that's a very much a cartoony style. Basically, you decide what looks right or wrong, and if you tell stories that people really like, well, that's good enough. Like some of the most popular manga, like Mob Psycho, has just really got not the most polished artwork at all, and yet the stories are so good and they're so popular. They resonate with so many people that it really is story first. I've heard that from a lot of different sources, that it's story first, art just comes second. Okay, so now the book also teaches the ultra deformed style chibis, which is where the body, the whole character is 2 heads tall, and it's pretty consistent about that. The characters that are supposed to be 2 heads tall really pretty much are 2 heads tall, so that makes it a lot easier to reproduce what the book is doing. But once again, it's, if you either sit there and measure each little character from the book and try to reproduce it exactly, but for my purposes, I looked at a few of these characters, and I just started experimenting until I could come up with a method of drawing them that was visually pleasing to me. And so if you have this book, you might be like, oh man, he's messing it up. But the way I'm doing it, it looks good enough for me. I feel like that I'm learning how to do the poses. I'm learning, getting that pencil mileage of drawing and drawing and drawing. So how I do it, I measure the character in half. Top half is the head, bottom half is the body. I divide that body in half, and that's where the waist is. And then I usually go a little lower than this, but I think that this is the ultra chibi version of this. So I think everything's supposed to be kind of moving up on this character. So they put the crotch like a little bit higher, so I put the crotch a little bit higher. It's probably just to give the effect that there's force, pulling on this character, pulling them up. So once again, divide the total height of the character in half. Top half is the head, bottom half I divide it in half, and that's where the waist is right in that middle line. So a quarter of the height of the total character. Put the crotch a little bit below that line, and then those are the legs. Okay, then once again, the way I'm doing it, I'm putting the elbow just kind of about where where the belly button would be. And then the hands, on a normal human being, the hands start right at the crotch, so then the hand would hang right below where the crotch line is. So it's kind of more or less like that. Because we're trying to learn the skill to be able to reproduce it consistently ourselves with our own creations. That's what I'm doing, at least, and I hope you are too, because I bet you have some awesome stories in you. And I know I have some awesome stories in me, and I'm just building the confidence and the skills to be able to put those stories out on paper for other people to read, hopefully enjoy, and be blessed by. So I'm creating a system for myself where I can be like, oh, well, now I want to draw a character punching a mirror, and then do it. Maybe need a little reference about, oh, what does it look like when somebody punches this way? But for the most part, have that experience to be able to just draw what I want to draw, the way I want to draw it, without it taking, hours and hours, and or being unable to do it, or unwilling to do it because I just don't feel like I can. This particular person's head is kind of like an egg shape. I think that's because they are supposed to be they're tipping their head back, tipping their chin up towards the roof a little bit. So the way we're drawing the head here is totally not the way I've been drawing heads in the past with most of these other characters. But this has been super fun, super duper fun. I cannot wait to see what I'm going to learn from my other drawing books. So, and if you all have drawing books that you like or that you're planning on studying, especially ones that deal with manga, figure drawing, the ones that have like a lot of material in them, ones that could almost be like a textbook, totally share them in the comments below. I might be interested in buying them myself and trying them out, because guys, this is a dream I've had since I was probably 10. I had a friend who came over to my house once, and I was like, hey, what do you want to do? Actually, I was younger than that, I was like 8. And he said, let's make a comic book. So we got out some different like art paper and probably Crayola markers and pencils and little ballpoint pens. And we started drawing comics that were based on the movie of Aliens. I don't know why his parents let him watch that movie, but they did. So we were drawing aliens and these little men fighting, spacemen, fighting with them. And I remember I told this little friend, I said, I'm kind of scared to draw people because I don't know how to draw noses. And he said, well, I don't know how to draw noses either, so I just don't draw them. And that was a totally revolutionary thought for me, because by my mind, you needed to feel like you could draw something, and then you had to draw it if it was there. Like if the person had a nose, you had to draw the nose. And that gave me license to just draw people, even though I couldn't figure out how to make them just look totally anatomically correct. And from that point on, I was making comic books all the time. I had like shoeboxes totally full. Well, no, okay. I had a lot of little comic books I was making with made-up characters, and that just became one of my favorite things to do as an elementary school kid. And part of it was because my little friend, he gave me the quote-unquote license to go ahead and do it, even though I couldn't do it right. I couldn't do it perfect. And somewhere along the line, I kind of forgot that, or maybe I just got distracted. Maybe I got a little too pessimistic. And I picked up drawing many times since then, and then I set drawing back down because I felt like I just couldn't do it good enough. And I was like not really very smart would be how I would describe adult Vladimir and young adult Vladimir, because just because something's hard or you don't know how to do it yet or you can't do it perfectly that is like a really rotten reason not to do something. And especially for me, I'm fiddling around with stuff that I was fiddling around with as a high school student. Drawing anime, manga characters, that was something I started doing in high school, and I quit because couldn't do it good enough. And then also, I used to even love making videos, and I would drive around with my brother's video camera or digital camera in the car with me in case there was like something cool to film, and I would film my friends' bands playing and edit their videos using the computers at school, and I had tons and tons of fun doing it. But I never turned it into anything. I just was like, well, film school's too expensive and I don't have any money, and so I guess I'm not going to do film school. But here we are. I'm not going to tell you how many years later it is, but it's a few years later. And I am filming myself and I am drawing. So you know what? Instead of being smart and practical, I kind of feel like I was just wasting time and learning through law, trial and error that, you know, sometimes just taking the shortest route to what you want to do instead of trying to figure out, well, do I think this is going to be easy to do? That's not a very efficient way to live, because you may end up just fiddling around doing things you didn't want to do and then eventually coming back many years later to do the thing that you just wanted to do in the first place. Because the fact is, if I had just been like, well, I'm a terrible artist now, but I'm going to draw one picture a day. If I had been doing that all those years ago, I would, and I know that, you know, drawing is so fun. I know it wouldn't have been just one picture a day, but even if it had been, I would have so much experience under my belt. I would probably have books and books of self-published manga and webcomics and merchandise, and Studio Ghibli would be adapting my comic books into television series, and George Lucas would be asking for my autograph. Okay, maybe not all that, but the fact is, man, I would have gotten a lot of experience. And so my advice to you is just go for it. Go for it, because you probably have that desire in you for a reason. God probably has a plan for it. So just believe, just put your energy where your passion lies or your interest lies, and it's probably going to work out okay. We don't need to be as worried as I think some of us are. Maybe I'm just extra pessimistic. Okay.